All right. Welcome, everybody. So glad you're here. Today, I am doing my very first ever live on TikTok. So all of my followers, all of my people over here on TikTok, thank you for being here. I am very excited to do my first ever live and bring you in on some of the fun that I'm doing over here on Instagram. So I started doing these Instagram live crochet Q&As, and you guys had some great questions that I'm super excited to go over with you today. In my Instagram on Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, that I reached out and I asked you, do you have any crochet related questions, yarn related questions? And I also asked you if there were any crochet or yarn related topics that you wanted me to go over, things that you wanted me to speak about, maybe my point of view or perspective. And I had some people respond to that as well. And let me tell you, there were some awesome questions that got asked, and I would not be surprised if this live goes on a little bit longer because some of the questions that were asked were pretty like not open-ended, but it was so broad. The question was so broad. I was like, man, I could have so much that I could speak about on this topic. So I made sure that I got all of the questions printed out because I'm just that way. I like to have things printed out. I have all of the answers organized and ready to go. What I'm going to do, though, to make sure that I spread some love for all of you who are here watching. Again, thank you so much for your time, for being here. I think that's really awesome that you decided to come join this. That's really, really cool. So thank you. I am going to start by addressing and answering all the questions that people asked me 2 days ago. And then after that, I'm going to look in the chat. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask that are crochet related, yarn related, start your question with like at least 3 question marks because it'll help me identify where the questions are. I seem to have difficulty finding some questions that look like they're just in a written text form. There's so many texts, there's so many messages in the chat to scroll through. It can be a lot sometimes, so if you can help me out with that by just starting your question with a couple question marks, that would be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, ready to dive in? Let's go. Oh, for all those of you who are brand new, because I know I have some newbies over here, and I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for being here. Credibility, who am I? Who am I? My name is Tiffany. I have a YouTube channel called Crochet with Tiffany, and I just love crochet. I've been crocheting since I was 4 years old. I now teach tutorials, crochet content. I have a lot of things going on about crochet. I consider myself a good source. I have a degree, a bachelor's degree to teach, and I managed to take that degree and translate it into something that I love. And I love to just teach and help people with crochet. It's one of my passions. I love it. I love it. So again, I have some credibility. So if you've never seen me before and you're like, who is this chick? I do kind of know what I'm talking about, though I will preference if I don't know the answer, I will let you know, but I will look up the question and I will have an answer for you the next time I see you. Okay. Just want to make sure that everybody's good. Cool. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So my first question is from Samantha, and her question was, have you tried the dot hooks? There are so many different new gadgets, things. Always. There's always something brand new coming to the market. Somebody comes and invents something new. And so I was like, I've never heard of the dot hooks before. So I researched it, went on Google. I was like, what are the crochet dot hooks? I've never used them, but I can't pull up a picture for you. That's the bummer. I don't have like a picture to show you, but they basically look like regular ergonomic hooks, like a Susan Bates hook with a short, stubby, regular crochet hook kind of thing, where it's like the regular crochet hook on the top and then the bottom is all ergonomic. But this one just happens to have dots all over it. Apparently the handle that is the ergonomic part is also this really comfortable synthetic like texture, which is apparently comfortable, and the dots, I don't know. To me, it looked like just another one of these hooks. But if you want to give it a try, maybe you like the texture of the material they used for the handle. I think that's the big difference for this. I think it's maybe a little more squishy, a little more comfortable for holding, less plasticky, if you know what I mean. But for me personally, I mean, I'm a basic girl. I really like using the basic boy hooks. These are my favorite hooks to use. I mean, they're the cheapest hooks too. But for as many times as I've been crocheting, these are my favorite hooks. So maybe it's because I crochet with the pencil hold, and I know a lot of people that crochet with the knife hold, they feel because they're holding the crochet hook with their whole palm, it can be easier to hold if the handle of the crochet hook is just wider and bigger. So I get that. I totally get that. But I also like having the whole length of the crochet hook to utilize. The Susan Bates hooks, these particular dot hooks, some other just regular ergonomic hooks that have the stopping point right there. Oh man, they drive me crazy. I can't use them because when I'm crocheting, I have emotion. You know, I have that, what's it called? That muscle memory. I have that muscle memory where I got a method, I got a flow. I know it, I got this thing going on. And I just struggle when I have a stopper. I'm just like, no, you're getting in my way. So even if I wanted to buy these dot hooks just to give a review, a formal opinion, I really would struggle with it because I'd buy these just specifically to give a review, and then I'd never use them because they're not my jam. They're not my style. So that's that. If you have never heard of the dot hooks and you do like the ergonomic feel of your crochet hook, maybe give them a try. You might actually like the texture of the handle. Just saying, just saying. So thank you, Samantha, for asking that question. Samantha, you also asked another question, and that was, what should I make with wool yarn? And I thought this was a fair question. At first I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many things you could make. But at the same time, there were projects that you could make, or that you might not. There are projects you want to steer clear from if you're using wool. And so I was like, okay, thinking of it that way, that's a fair question to ask. And so I have some answers for you. Okay, if you are using wool yarn, and I'm not limiting it to a certain size because, wool yarn can come in various ranges of sizes. So I'm just going to say, in general, the yarn you're using is wool. The projects that you might have a lot of fun making or options are any wearable, the beanie, the scarf, the cowl, the mittens, the gloves, the leg warmers, the shawls, the tops, the cardigans, the sweaters, oh my gosh, the ponchos, wearables. So anything wearable. Blankets and throws feel great with wool yarn because the wool just generally feels really soft and comfortable. And it also, it's temperature regulating in a way. Wool has a tendency to warm you up, but the way wool is supposed to work is for the animal the wool came from. It's there to temperature regulate. When it gets really hot outside, it's supposed to also cool down the animal. So from what I've heard, from the people I've spoken to, from the animal farms that I've been to, where I've personally asked these people, like, so what's the deal with wool? That is the answer that I've gotten from them, is that wool will keep you warm, but it's also supposed to not make you too hot. So that's what they said. So blankets are great. Home decor, such as cushions, pillows, rugs, wall hangs, basically anything that you might want to decorate around your living space. Wool is fabulous, and amigurumis, so stuffed animals. And I agree with that because some stuffed animals look adorable with the wool texture. They do. It's just an option, right? It's an option. Some things to steer clear of, because I was like, great. So I just offered a whole bunch of options, ideas of things that you could make with yarn. How about some things that you might want to steer clear of, some projects? And some projects you might want to steer clear of. Number one, anything, if you or the individual you are gifting this to or giving this to is allergic to wool, understand that there's a large number of people that have a wool allergy or sensitivity. And so being aware of that is awesome. That way, you know, okay, you know what? I'm just not going to make anything with that. Secondly, projects requiring frequent washing. So wool can be resilient, but it also can shrink and felt if exposed to hot water, or if it's tousled around, like the spin cycle is just tossing it around, it can felt, which means that whatever you put into the wash will look different when it comes out. Be aware. Also, it will, where are you? So you definitely don't want to use wool for things like dishcloths or any baby item that might need to be laundered a lot, just because the wool may change its texture. It may shrink. It may have a lot of things happen in the wash. Now, it does say here that if it is a super wash wool, that wool in particular has been treated to be machine washable. And I was like, oh, okay, so that is new information for me. It might be new information for you, or you might already know that and you're like, I already knew that. But super wash wool has been treated. So I would read the label. I would definitely read the label to make sure, but you should have the ability to wash that and be okay. I would still be leery about how often you washed it though. Also, projects requiring precise sizing. Wool can stretch and change shape over time, especially with heavy use or washing. So if you're making items with precise sizing, it is crucial that fitted garments or items with specific dimensions that you might want to consider using a yarn that is different, like a cotton or acrylic. So I do know that I have made some tops personally. I've made some tops, and I've worn some sweaters and cardigans made of wool, and they are super comfy, cozy. So I think just being aware that, hey, it could change. I mean, it's always good to know. It's always good to be in the know, right? Next question is from, it's either Mama G Crochet. Yeah, I think it's Mama G Crochet. That's so hard when all I see is your username and your username is different than your actual name. I'm like, how did they want this portrayed? I guess that's where the teacher in me comes out, where I'm like, I see this. How did they want this interpreted? You know? So Mama G, she says, do you have a guide for foundation chain for baby blankets for different size skeins? Now, I want to preference this by saying, it's, my opinions, but I'm only here to guide you. I'm only here to help you with what I feel like I can help you with. So when it comes to a baby, or telling you how many chains that you should chain to make a blanket, it's really practically impossible. And the reason why is how many different blanket sizes there are, how many different yarn sizes there are, what crochet hook size did you choose to use, what stitch pattern are you choosing to use, what is your stitch tension, are you a tight crocheter or a loose crocheter? So there's so many contributing factors that I really cannot present that information to you. Now, some things you do have in your favor was that you have a size determined, the baby blanket size. Great. I mean, that still can be like, do you want to do the receiving blanket, which is 40 inches wide by 40 inches long? Or are you going for something a little bit smaller than that? Because some people find that receiving blanket size is too big, so what, personal preference, what size are you looking for your baby blanket? And then you did specify all sizes of yarn. So size, I'm going to technically say 1 because that's technically a size. So size 1 to size 7 jumbo yarn, just all over the gambit. How many chains do I need to make for a baby blanket? But you didn't tell me what stitch, because maybe your stitch has a multiple stitch count requirement. That's going to change how many chains that I tell you that you need. And there are thousands of different stitches, not even patterns, not even just patterns, guys. There are thousands of different stitches that we can play with that have different multiple stitch count requirements. So that is a stopper right there where I'm like, crap, I can't help you. I don't know. And then there is crochet tension, crochet hook size. I mean, this number could be very different, not just 1 through 7, but this number could vary significantly hundreds of different ways. So I did get this question a lot when I started on YouTube, and I get it. I get it. When you are starting crocheting, you just want the answers. Like, just give me the answers. Tell me how many to chain so I can just go and do it. I get it, but it's not that easy because of the things that I mentioned. However, I did get this question so many times that I created my swatch series. Now, I don't want to lose you. Please don't let me lose you on this. I know how many people, they hear the word swatch and they're like, and I'm not listening to anything else you're saying. A lot of people don't like swatches. Most people do not like making swatches. They're no fun. We want to dive into the project. We want to get started. We want to get going. Instant gratification, right? But we need to back up a little bit, and we need to figure everything out first. And once we have everything figured out, then we can go. We can get started. So I shared in this swatch series that I made on YouTube all my secrets and all my tricks and everything that I do when I'm creating my patterns. When I'm doing blanket patterns, I try to have how many stitches, how many rows, approximately how much yarn that you're going to need to make the project in a chart in the pattern. Because so many people were like, I like that blanket, I like it a lot, but I want to make it a different size. And I'm like, ugh. So I decided to just eliminate that question altogether by making this chart that I add into my patterns. And I realized, I'm doing all this. I'm making this happen for you. And why don't I teach you how to fish instead of just providing you a fish to feed you for a meal? Kind of that whole motto saying that's out there. If you teach a man to fish, they're fed for life. If you just feed them a fish, then they're fed for one meal. So I'm trying to teach you my trick, my method, or how I do it through the swatch series, like laying it all out there for you. And basically, it all starts by making this little itty bitty square. This is little itty bitty square. That's it. You start with that, and then I share with you how to break it down, how to get the information. And it's the most comprehensive way that most comprehensive and most hand-holding way that I can help you figure out how many stitches, how many rows, and approximately how much yarn you're going to need to make any blanket size, as long as it's a square or a rectangle. This math would be different if it was a circle or a hexagon or an octagon. It would be different because you're working from the center outward. The math is also a little different if working a corner to corner, because you're doing your stitches differently. It's still able, you're still able to figure it out. It's just a different math problem. And so if you are just looking for a basic rectangle, you can use this method and find all that out, all that information out before you even get started. So it's pretty nice. It's pretty neat. If you're excited about that, just check out my channel, Crochet with Tiffany on YouTube. But I'm not here to get people to, I'm not advertising here. I'm just trying to help. Okay. Next question is from Jamie. I'm going to say Jamie. Jamie Leek. Or Jim, yeah. Here's your question. Here's your question. What can I do with 4-weight yarn except blankets and scarves? Whew. All right, I'm going to throw this back at you. And I'm going to throw this back at you. What would you make with a size 4-weight yarn? Oh, it's like, and the list just keeps going. I was like, how do you answer that? Because the size 3 weight yarn, size 4 weight yarn are literally the most versatile sized yarns you can use to make virtually anything you want. And I think what happens is we get complacent. We make the same thing over and over again. I've actually read comments, talked to people where all they do is use the half double crochet stitch. That's all they use in every project they do, just the half double crochet. Or somebody who's, all I do is I make blankets and I only use the granny stitch. And that's it. That's all I do over and over and over again. Of course, you're going to like burn out on that project. You're not pushing yourself. You're not trying new things. You're not experimenting and playing. So like, look at some books. Look at, oh gosh, there's magazines, there's books. Just go search on Pinterest or Ravelry or Ribbler or, oh goodness, yeah, just do like a Google search of crochet items. And there are so many different locations you can go to for inspiration and things, ideas of things that you can make. But to be helpful, if you could write something in the chat, just something that you can think of that you can make with the size 4 weight yarn. And then I will share with you some ideas that I found. Go ahead, type now, say something. I mean it, do it. All right, are you ready for some of my suggestions? All right, so I did 20 different ideas. I maxed it out there. I was like, okay, so these are just some ideas, not all ideas, just some ideas. Of course, the scarves, the hats, the gloves, the mittens, the blankets, afghans, sweaters, cardigans, socks you could do, shawls, ponchos, cowls, headbands, dishcloths, market bags, baby stuff, toys like amigurumis, stuffed animals, coasters, boot cuffs, ear warmers, to name a few. So hopefully that gives you some ideas and helps you out, as well as if you want to read throughout the comments and see what other people suggested as well. I love getting you guys involved. The content of this meeting is being sent to a third party. Oh, yes, I know, I got it. Sweet. Okay. Yeah, see what I mean about some questions that just were so open-ended? It's like, I could just speak so much on that. All right, next question is from Laura. Thank you so much, Laura. New grandmother here. Congratulations. Oh, that's very, very exciting. Any great baby projects I need to try? What do you guys think? Again, what do you think? Baby projects. And we got the normal things, right? The blankets. Sure. The beanies, of course. What about some stuffies? Yes, definitely. But anything else? Anything else you can think of? Oh no, it keeps freezing. Well, hopefully, I don't know about you guys if you're having this issue, but apparently the internet is weird right now in most places. I don't know what the deal is. I hope it's not too terrible for you. Here are some ideas, some more ideas that I came up with, but please share your thoughts, share your ideas. I really love to hear your creativity. Sometimes the things that you guys come up with inspire me. And I'm like, oh yeah. Or, oh, that was a good idea. I love hearing where your brains go, your creative brains, because everybody's exposure to different things. We all see different pictures. We all see different projects. Sometimes you mention something that I've never seen before or somebody else has never seen before. And just sharing helps to really pick up some of that awareness that other things exist. But here are some ideas. So of course, baby blankets, but baby booties, the little baby sock things, those are so cute. Adorable, quick to make too. So a win. The baby sweaters are so cute, adorable. Bibs for sure. The loveys. Ah, yes. They're small. You know, the small things. Those are fast, easy. Gotta love it. Pacifier clips. That's really helpful. I mean, I'm a mother of two, so I definitely have experienced that, you know, you try to keep the pacifier, the binky in the mouth and it just keeps getting spit out and you're like, oh, where'd it go? Stuffed toys, baby cocoons. Oh yeah, those little like, they look like bags, but you put your baby in it and they just like nestle up. It's so cute. And those actually aren't that big either. They work up pretty quick and there's some really cute designs. Baby headbands. Oh, those make for really cute, like photo props. Photo props. I used to make baby photo prop, crochet baby photo prop, crochet baby photo prop items. I had so much fun with that. People love, love, love buying stuff for baby. So I did a lot of, I sold my crochet for 5 years and I did a lot of events. I was a vendor for a lot of festivals and bazaars and things. And baby stuff, man, people are all about baby stuff any time of year. They just eat it up. So never underestimate baby stuff. Diaper covers, yes, those can be super cute, especially if you put a little pom-pom on the butt. Oh yeah, adorable. Baby mobiles or mobiles, however you pronounce it, tomato, tomato. Baby rattles, baby blanket edgings. Oh, that's true. That's true. Not the whole blanket doesn't have to be crochet. The blanket, the inner body of the blanket itself could be fabric material, and you just crochet a nice cute border around the edge. And of course, it says baby photo props is the last one. So cute props like hats, blankets, or memorable newborn for a memorable newborn photo shoot. Like turn them into a lion, make them into a cowboy. Like I've seen some cute patterns out there. Cute. It's just ridiculously adorable. And here we go. Next question. W. Grit and Grace. Hello. How did you get started with crochet, YouTube, small business? Ooh, this was a big question because this is like 3 questions and it's kind of like, what's your backstory? And I'm like, no, it's story time with Tiffany. Oh goodness. So I started crocheting when I was 4 years old. My mother tells me so. My grandmother, on my paternal grandmother, she loved to crochet. She would crochet like motif Afghans and she would crochet Barbie clothes. So I would be this little girl playing Barbie and I'd have all these different clothes that I could play with because she would crochet different clothes. But all in all, I was a pretty hyperactive kid. I just couldn't sit still. And, you know, grandma was like, just sit still, just stop moving. So she started, like, I would watch her. I would, of course, ask questions and be intrigued about what she was doing. And she started a chain. She's like, well, I want, you know, go for it. Just sit still, just make a chain. And so that's how I got started, was just being little, being babysat by my grandmother. And she just wanted me to sit still. And honestly, it worked because I was so hyper focused on, you know, both of my hands are doing something different. So having to like figure that out and then working the chain, getting that yarn to go through the loop. And I'm 4 or 5, you know, I'm a kid. So this is like taking up extra attention because I'm literally still trying to learn how to use my hands for like painting and cutting with scissors. And here I am crocheting. So that's how I got started. And then, but that's really all she taught me. Maybe the single crochet, you know, getting on to the next row, how to like pick something up, you know, but I don't remember her teaching me a whole lot more than that. I taught myself with a book called, oh gosh, I always forget the name of it. It's like, I can't believe I'm crocheting, or I can't believe I can crochet. One of those. I think I got it from Walmart, but they would also sell it at like Joann's, Michael's, any of those craft stores. And I don't even know if they sell them anymore. Like really. But that's how you learned, because back at that point, YouTube didn't exist. And so the only way you could really learn how to crochet was if you knew somebody, or if you just kind of taught yourself from a book. So of course I picked up certain habits, certain muscle memories that some people, have a hard time with, but it works for me. And I love being that all-inclusive kind of like, hey, if you can make it happen, that's the whole point. Just enjoy the process, right? Enjoy the process, make the thing, have a great time, let it do the woo-saw thing, get your creativity out. That's all that matters. I used to do blankets. Blankets was a big thing for me. That's all I made for the longest time, was blankets, 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 because they're easy, right? Just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then as I got older, probably say in my early 20s, I started to experiment with stuffed animals when people started having babies, right? I think my sister-in-law had a baby, and I was like, oh, I want to make a stuffed animal, just kind of like, what the heck? And it was awful. Oh, it was so ugly. Like your first, you think, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it unless it's perfect. It's gotta be perfect. No, man, this thing was awful. But because it's from the heart and because it's family, of course they say things like, oh my gosh, you could sell that. So I got bit by the bug. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could make things on my own. I could sell them and I could make all this money. Yay. No, it doesn't work like that. I'm just going to tell you that right now. It does not work like that. Your family loves you, and your family and friends, they adore you. And of course, they're going to cherish anything that you make them because it has sentimental value. And of course, it means a lot to them, right? But selling your things to people that don't know you, it's definitely, there's a learning curve. You learn that you need to improve your skills. You learn that you need to be very aware of certain things. And so you end up like definitely having a major learning curve when it comes to that. But I was determined because I got bit by the bug. I wanted to sell my stuff. And so I just crocheted a bunch of stuff. I found a bunch of patterns and I just was crocheting a bunch, which was great for my exposure and my experience, because the more you crochet, the better you get at your tension, your just developing that muscle memory, your stitch knowledge, your creativity. You start to see a lot of similarities and you're like, oh, if that can do that, but it can also do that, then I bet I can make my own thing over here. And so that happens too. The more exposure you get, you just start to connect dots, and then it becomes really easy for you to design your own thing. So I sold my things in little boutiques, at coffee shops. I tried lots of different avenues with being a vendor at farmers markets. I was a vendor at festivals, some big festivals. I did a lot of like holiday bazaars and craft fairs and uh, all the different names. There's probably like 5 different names for them. So I did all that for like 5 years. And I realized that it is so rewarding. It's so fun. And seeing people get excited about something that you made with your own 2 hands, there's nothing like it. It feels just so rewarding. It really does. But it financially was not sustainable. Great for a hobby, great for something for me to do that wasn't like I'm not relying on my income to pay certain bills. This is just kind of something fun for me. That was pretty much the extent of how that kind of business ended up working out. So how did I start on YouTube? How did YouTube become a thing? I actually resisted getting on YouTube for a very long time. I didn't get it. I was like, what value could I bring to the table? What could I do to help? What videos could I make? I'm a little shy. I don't want to look silly. What videos could I make? Like, I was lost. I was like, I don't know. But then my aunt and my husband, they just kept saying, like, no, you should really try this YouTube thing. I think you'd be good at it. I think you'd be good. So my husband ended up finding Melanie Ham. Does anybody here remember Melanie Ham? Like, go ahead and raise your hand or say me in the chat. I mean, this could also be a really good tribute to her. My husband showed me her video and I loved her immediately. I was like, she is incredible. Wow, she's cute, she's great, she's bubbly, she teaches very well. I got it. And I was like, I could do that. Okay, I see it. I picture it. I see how it could be played out. I could do this. And so it was actually Melanie Ham who gave me the courage, and she gave me the confidence to start on my YouTube journey. And honestly, it's been such an incredible experience. I have grown so much from my channel, just in my own knowledge and my own exposure to different projects. When people ask you like, hey, can you help me with this? And you've never done it before, but you kind of have an idea of how it's done, you do it yourself. So that way you can make sure that you have a correct answer and response. So I was making things I've never made before, doing things I've never done before. And it's just increased my whole knowledge base and experience tenfold. And so I'm constantly growing because of you. All of you who are here helping me out and supporting my channel, supporting me and everything I do. It's really you that help me become a better crafter. And the better I get, the more it just kind of goes full circle, because as I grow, I can then share my knowledge with everybody else through my videos, through my TikToks, my shorts, my reels, and just kind of throw knowledge out there. So I really try to just lift people up. That's my big goal, is lift people up, make them better at what they love to do. Okay, so I think that's all of them, how I got started, my small business experience, and YouTube. So thank you so much, W, Grit, and Grace, for asking that question. Next question. Thank you, by the way. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having fun. Okay. Kaylin asked if there is a trick to keeping yarn from splitting. Anybody have this problem? There's a few yarns that I notice are a little more splitty than others, but yeah, I can see this being a thing where it could come up often for people. I did research. I was like, is there a best kind of way to approach this? Is there? So I did come up with, oh, it's over here. Right. To keep your yarn from splitting, there are a couple tricks to help you prevent your yarn from splitting. Number one is choosing the right hook. Sometimes using a hook that's too small for the yarn, it can cause it to split. So this is something I've heard other people recommend. If you are having issue with splitting, try to go up a crochet hook size, and that might help. Slow down. Sometimes when you're crocheting too quickly, it can increase the likelihood of your yarn splitting. Use a smooth crochet hook. If you're using like a wooden crochet hook, some kind of fiber crochet hook, they might pull at the yarn and cause it to split, the friction. Adjust your tension. Is your tension too tight? It's a very common thing. Certain yarns, just lower quality yarns that haven't been spun completely, they're just known to be more splitty. So what's the quality of the yarn that you're using? Is that a contributing factor? Moisturizing your hands. This just already gives me cotton mouth. I'm like, oh, So moisturizing your hands, making sure they're not too dry. Yarn does kind of absorb our moisture from our hands. So making sure that your hands aren't like helping to split the fibers. Ugh. Moving on, moving on. Practice proper techniques, ensuring that you're inserting your crochet hook into the correct part of the stitch and pulling the yarn through smoothly. Because sometimes when we place our crochet hook, we might be placing our hook through a yarn and not into a stitch. So it's possible. So those were just some ideas, some things that might help. I hope one of those helps you out. But really, I think someone recently told me that if you're having a big issue with your yarn splitting, focus on purchasing yarn that has a high twist rate. I don't have anything right. I don't have anything right next to me that would be a good visual example. But if you're, I mean, here, I'll do this. Okay. Let's see if, okay. When you're looking at your yarn, do you see all those plies that are twisted? Don't worry, TikTok, I'm coming. See all those twists? See all the plies? See all those twists right there? The tighter they are, so I just made it tighter, I just twisted it more. But see how I just twisted those plies even tighter? The tighter the twist, the better it will be, the less splitty it'll be. So if you have a yarn that has kind of a loose twist, that could be the issue for you. Just saying. It might be something that you just become aware of when you're choosing your yarn. Okay, moving on. Next question. Darlene. Hello, Darlene. Okay, could you demonstrate the Celtic weave stitch? It's in the BC, so beginner crochet book, and I've never done it. All right, so I obviously can't do a demonstration of a stitch here now, but I am going to refer you to my Crochet Club membership on my website, crochetwithtiffany.com. I have an exclusive membership that's called the Crochet Club. And over there, I started doing 2 live crochet stitch tutorials where I got my camera facing me here, where I'm doing a Zoom. It's a Zoom meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. So everyone that wants to join in can. And you watch me from 2 camera angles, one straight on and one overhead shot, where I'm showing you how to do a stitch. All the stitches that I do are recommended stitches from members. So if there's a blank spot where I just need to insert a stitch, then I do. But most of these stitches are recommended or requested from members. And most of them run into the intermediate category. I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. But Darlene, if you could give it a shot, give my membership a chance. It's really inexpensive for everything that we do over there. I mean, I got these 2 live demonstrations where I'm showing you the stitch, and then I reach over or I glance over to the Zoom meeting and I'm like, does anybody have any questions? How's everybody doing? And then you can actually speak to me and say, can you redo that part? And I can be like, yep. And I go back and I'm like, let's do that again. And it's just really cool to have that interactive ability to really help ensure knowledge, make sure that I'm getting the point across, making sure that you get what I'm putting down, right? So that's super fun and helpful. I'm going to take a second to speak about this membership because I really try to pump as much value into it as I possibly can, especially for $5.99 a month. We got the 2 live crochet stitches. We have every Wednesday, we have a Zoom meeting hangout where we get together, we do a crochet along project over the extent of the month, and you can ask questions and we just kind of hang out. 2 Saturdays a month, We do a coffee and crochet where it's another hangout opportunity. We have game night where it's a crochet related game theme, whether it's crochet bingo, crochet trivia. This month it's scavenger hunt. We have a crochet book club in there where every month there's a crochet stitch book that is like, that's the book of the month. And you just make whatever project you want to from that book. And it's just exposure to different projects and different types, which is all growing your experience, all growing your knowledge base. Super fun. And we also, what else do we got? Oh, and we have contests where like next month we're doing a St. Patrick's Day contest where there'll be 2 winners, most competitive or most complicated project and most creative project, and their prizes. So there's just a lot going on over there. So much fun. If that's something that sounds interesting to you at all, then definitely go to my website, crochetwithtiffany.com. Membership. There's a 7-day free trial if you want to go in there and just check it out, you know, but I try to pump as much value in there to give you a great experience. So Darlene, please check it out. Ask me to do the Celtic weave stitch and I'll do it for you in person. You can be in the Zoom right along with me and I will ask you, okay, here's the demonstration. Do you have any questions? Is there anything else I can help you with? And we can go back and forth until you got it. Okay, moving on. Barbie. Hello, Barbie. Your question is, what can I make with scraps? I mean, that's a great question and very fair because I'm sitting on like a whole grocery sack filled with scraps right now that I'm like, I don't know what to do with this right now. And for me personally, my scraps and some of the yarn that I use because I have my crochet content channel, I have to keep moving on to the next thing. Keep moving on to the next thing. What's a new yarn that I can play with to demonstrate and show you? What's a new project type that I can inspire you with? What is some fun trivia or helpful inspiration things or tips and tricks things that I can help you out? So I'm constantly moving on to the next thing. And I don't often have the time to be like, oh, you know, that yarn that I bought from Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago that was on their clearance blowout sale that I can't do a tutorial with because it's discontinued. That's just gonna wait for a while because I'm just constantly moving forward, you know, constantly got to move on to the next. So I end up having an over accumulation of scraps. So when it comes to your question, what can I make with them? I think this is awesome because I don't think I'm the only one that has an accumulation of scrap yarn. And I was curious to research this question and what I would find out. And this is what I found out. Hopefully I've got your attention. You're like, oh, what's she gonna say about some project ideas to do with scrap yarn? Okay. And all of these things that I'm listing out, these lists that I'm talking about, I will go ahead and put these in separate individual posts on my Instagram, on my YouTube community page, so that way you know where you can go and find this information just laid out for you to write it down. Okay, what can you do with scraps? You can make a granny square blanket using different colors of scrap yarn to create colorful granny squares, which would be a lot of fun because the colors would change just so infrequently. That would be cool to see. A scrap amigurumi toy. I've seen these, they're really cool, very neat looking, where you just, all the color changes. Maybe one arm is one color, one arm is another color. Like that, they're really fun. A scrappy scarf, patchwork blanket, coasters, mug cozies, hair accessories, dishcloths, washcloths, appliques. And that would be like some fun little flat image that you can crochet and then sew on to something else or attach to something else. So those are fun. Miniature bunting, which is adorable. Oh, the decorative shelves, mantles, or party spaces, keychains, pet toys, bookmarks, ornaments, or if you yarn bomb something. Yarn bombing can be a lot of fun. you don't know what yarn bombing is, what that means is when you crochet around something outside, like crocheting a piece and joining it around a tree trunk, or joining it around a lamppost, or joining it around a park bench or the park garbage can. Or it's where you basically kind of, I don't want to say, it's not necessarily vandalism because it's not permanent, but it's where you place your crochet around something outside and just you can tell it's out of place and it just catches a lot of attention. There are some organizations and some places that do it on purpose for events or awareness, or just some community fun. I know my kids' middle school, they had an activity where they yarn bombed around the school just to, bring awareness to it. And I thought that was fun. So yarn bombing. And honestly, here's another thing that wasn't mentioned here and something I'm very passionate about, and that's Warm Up America. Those of you who know me know that I am very loyal to the Warm Up America Charity Foundation. They are basically like an umbrella charity where they spotlight all these smaller nonprofit organizations or these smaller charities that need help. And these smaller charities, they'll be like, we need these specific items. Can you help us out? And Warm Up America will be like, I got you. And it'll just tell everybody in the Warm Up America Facebook group, in their community, like, hey, this charity needs beanies. And everybody will rally together and just pump projects to this smaller organization, which is amazing. That's what I mean about Warm Up America being kind of like an umbrella, because they constantly have at least 5 different charities they're trying to help. And something else that's really cool is if you go to their website, warmupamerica.org, and go to, I think it's make on the top, the options. You can check out what charities they're featuring or they're helping at the moment and what those charities are asking for. One thing that really frustrated me for a really long time before I was connected to any charities was, man, I want to know, I want direction. I want somebody to tell me what they need. That way I'm not feeling like I'm making this, who can I give it to? Like, who wants this? Like, no, this organization, it tells you what they need. So you don't feel like you're like lost in the dark. You have an objective and you know what to do. And the other thing that's really awesome is they encourage you to use your scrap yarn. They don't care how it looks. You could have like a color of yellow for like 2.5 rows, and then you switch to pink. That's another like half row, or like, and then a green, and then a silver and a black, it's just like, you just use your scraps for these projects, whether it's a beanie, scarf, blanket. What else do they do? Mittens. They also do rectangular square sections that are 7 inches by 9 inches. Doesn't matter if it's like 7 by 9 or 7 by 9. Either way, it's a rectangle, 7 inches by 9 inches. And you just send those in, however many you want, making sure it hits that dimension. That's super important. And then they take those sections and they'll make scarves or blankets or whatever they need. They'll join them together in certain ways. So super cool. But yeah, I love promoting their campaigns. I actually have a veteran campaign that I'm doing with them in April. So look out for more information on our veteran campaign, where we are helping Warm Up America to help a brand new hotel/apartment building for veterans that just opened up in Houston, Texas. So we're going to really help support them. It's going to be awesome. Super cool. Okay, moving on. Evelyn Fibers. Hello, Evelyn Fibers. Okay, what crochet items would you say is best to have, tech edited? Ooh, I loved this question. If you are somebody who writes patterns, if you are a crochet pattern designer, a crochet pattern writer, you will eventually hear the term tech editor. Well, and at first I thought, okay, that's the person you give your pattern to and they just make sure all your math's right. Well, that's one of the things that they do. Something else that they do that I benefited a lot from when I got my pattern tech edited was they read through your pattern with a different perspective. So they will look at your pattern, and if they think one of your row descriptions, what you're telling people to do, if they think that it's missing certain information that could cause somebody to get lost or not really know what you're saying or what you're wanting them to do, then they will let you know, like, hey, why don't you give some more information here? They're also really good at doing the little things like the spell checks and some of the things that you forget. And the thing that I ended up getting a lot of value of is sometimes when I write my patterns, I will start kind of shortening up, or I overlook certain very basic things. Just I make assumptions. I end up making assumptions. Oh, you know what to do. You know what I mean. Well, sometimes the person doesn't know what you mean. And it alerts you to that. Like, hey, you might want to go and add a little more here. And so when it comes to tech editors, you technically could very much benefit from getting all of your patterns tech edited, even if they catch that one little thing. That one little thing can turn your pattern from good to great. It really can. And so, but the only thing that holds me back a lot with tech editors editing my patterns is the cost. But you have to pay the person to do it for you, because they have to become certified. They have to become certified to be a tech editor. It's not just some random person who's going to test your pattern for you. It's somebody that has a lot of skill. They've gone through training. They know specific things, standards, things that they need or you need to have in your pattern. So if it came down to, if you had to choose which patterns to get tech edited, I would say go for the patterns that have more detail, more to them, because those are going to be the patterns that you might miss something. And I'm not saying you're going to miss like an instructional row. I'm saying you might rush the instruction and forget to add like how many chains in turn, or what side of the work should you be looking at, or what were some of the other things? Just, how to end the row, how to begin the row, just being very, very, very specific. And so that I found was worth it, because you get it done and then you can rest assured that, okay, my pattern is golden. It's good. I can now release it out and feel very confident that I'm not going to get anyone coming back saying, this row is wrong. There's a spelling error here. I'm only getting this many stitches, not that many stitches, or I'm getting more than you had. What's wrong? Or I'm unclear how you did this. I mean, you understood it because you wrote it, but that tech editor is going to help you be like, hey, this part you might want to give a little bit more love, So that's what I'd say. If you have a pattern that has a little more going on, it would behoove you to get it tech edited. I hope that helps. All right, so that's it with questions. I have 4 topics, technically 3. Technically 3. I'll try to rush through these so that way I can get to you and see if you had any questions that you would like me to get to. So I would love to interact with you, and I'd love to interact with you. So make sure that if you do have a question that you would like me to answer, that you start the question with at least 3 question marks, because I'm going to have a lot of feeds, a lot of comments that I'm going to have to sift through, and I'm going to end up trying to go quickly. And those question marks are going to help stop my eye, because I'm going to be like, oh, that looks okay. That's not just a comment, that's a question. So if you could do that, that would help me out. Right. Samantha, you also asked how to stop pain after crocheting. Love this question. I get this question, I hear this question often because we love crocheting. We love what we do, and it's hard to stop. And especially if maybe you have a deadline or you just want to finish something and you just want to kind of like power through. That's a big thing. Okay. So when it comes to helping to stop pain from crocheting or after crocheting, before I say anything else, I'm going to say the best thing you can do is probably talk to your doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't have the answer for you. Everybody's different. And so I'm going to give you some helpful tips, some ideas. But honestly, if you're starting to feel pain, just chat with your doctor. Be like, hey, so I'm noticing that when I crochet for a while, that I'm starting to feel a pain here, here, here. And do you have any suggestions or what? You might also find out if you have carpal tunnel or if you have some kind of aggravated nerve or something a little bit more serious that is either occurring or has developed that might need more attention. Because the tips and tricks that I'm going to share with you, they're not going to solve carpal tunnel. They're not going to solve pre-existing ailments, like body issues. But one big thing that content or crochet content creators all over the board, anywhere you see, they all try to emphasize doing crochet stretches. If you've never heard of a crochet stretch, then I am so excited to share this with you. So some very common crochet stretches involve basically your wrists, your hands, your elbows, your shoulders, your upper back, and your neck, sometimes even your lower back, because these are all the pain points that we seem to feel the issues develop in, right? So of course you got the neck rolls, really try to like, because I don't know about you, but when I crochet, I do a lot of this. With my neck. It's just like instantly, that's where my head goes. It's down. That's eventually going to cause or create some kind of neck issue, right? So do some of your neck stretches. Your hands. Let's start with hands. Go hands. Doing some flashes is going to help. Pressing and kind of like rubbing into the palm of your hand to try to get those palm muscles to relax a little bit. That's going to be a big deal. Taking your fingers and just kind of gently pulling them back. What this is doing is you're going to feel that tendon stretch. Now, I'm not saying yank it. I'm not saying like try to see how far back you could put your finger. No, just kind of like just pull it back just a little bit. And you'll feel that all the way down your palm. It feels amazing. And then wrist roll. Oh, I already feel that, man. Wrist rolls both directions. And you're going to feel this on the other side of your wrist and down a little bit. Then the very common one that you probably see a lot of people doing is taking your palm facing you, taking your thumb on the back of your palm and the rest of your fingers, just kind of like making your hand flatten out. And then you'll start with your elbow bent, and then you will slowly straighten your elbow. And the idea is for you to keep your palm flat, and you will feel everything all through here. Through here. Feels so good. And then you can do the reverse. So have your hand go instead of this way, it's the opposite way. And you hold it down and then you stretch it out and you should feel everything on the other side. Oh, it can feel so good, especially a lot of crocheting. After a long day of crocheting, if I haven't stretched it and I do this, I'll hear like pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, ooh, that was long overdue. Long overdue. Then of course, when we crochet, we are hunched forward a lot. Forward. And so we want to open that up. So if you just kind of like take your arms and open backwards, kind of like open up your chest area. It feels so good. Just open that up. Sometimes I'll go against a wall and I'll put my arm against the wall and then I will turn away from it, kind of stretch this part right here. And again, we're not forcing or overdoing anything. That's something, listen to your body, right? So definitely just kind of let it feel good, let it open up, let it stretch, because your body needs to just do the opposite motion that you've been doing for however long you were crocheting. And there's also just kind of standing up and trying to touch your toes or lean forward, because we want to help the lower back. We want to relax our lower back. So whatever stretches that you need to relax the lower back. Some people will do like the yoga cobra thing, or the oh no, the child pose. So good. So good on the lower back. Okay, so that's one. Do your crochet stretches. Number two is just take breaks. This is one I struggle with. Struggle with this really hard, because I just want to power through. I'm relaxing, or I'm just kind of doing my thing. I don't want to take breaks and stop and then do something, come back. I want to just keep going. But they do recommend that you take a short break about every 20 minutes of crocheting. Definitely every hour. If you are like power crocheter, every hour you should put down your work, get up, and walk around. Like just walk around. That's like just kind of like do that for your body. The other thing to focus on, hand compression gloves. I do not have any with me right now. There's something that you can definitely Google to look up. There are some gloves that you can wear that I think they cut off at about a ½ inch up the finger. So your fingers are exposed. They're without anything on them. But the compression glove will just cover your hand and your wrist. And that sometimes helps people that experience pain in their hand or in their wrist, or maybe have some kind of irritation experience with the yarn itself. So that's definitely something to look at. Last but not least, of course, I cannot talk about this topic without mentioning the Volare pillow. So, oh, I'm getting the little puppy. Come here, Barrett. I'm babysitting. Hi, baby. Thank you, love. All right, come say hi to everyone, Barrett. Say hello. This is Barrett. Yep, Daddy went to go pick up the kids from school, so I'm gonna babysit. Yeah, I know. Dad's leaving. I know. Dad's leaving. I know. The Volare pillow. So I'm gonna show everyone my Volare pillow. I want to thank Amiko or Co, one of my members and followers. She's also a gamer, and apparently gamers and crocheters or crafters experience very similar pain points in the neck and the shoulders and the elbows and the lower back. And most of it being because of our posture, obviously. I just mentioned when I crochet, I take on this C curve, right? So I'm like, C curve. So Amiko Co mentioned, hey, they came out with this thing called the Volare pillow, and it's helping people with their posture. I'm like, what? Really? So I looked this up and I was like, this could be huge help for all of the people that I talked to that, had to stop crocheting because they just kept having all these aches and pains. All these people that said, I can only crochet for so long and then it hurts. I mean, I've heard countless stories from my followers because I read your comments and I connect with you and I try to help you because I feel like that's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to help you. And so when I find a product that I'm like, oh, that can help people, then I'm all about sharing it with as many people as I can. Not because I'm trying to sell you something, but because I'm trying to help people. So if you want to buy it, then great. If you don't, totally cool, whatever. But I reached out to Volare and I was like, you're a gaming pillow that's missing out on a huge market, because this could help so many crocheters that I know. And lo and behold, they agreed. And I am now an ambassador to the Volare pillow, just kind of spreading the word, sharing why I think it is so awesome and how it's helped me personally, and how if you experience any of these things, you might want to give it a try. But of course, it's up to you. So the Volare pillow has this cute little clip, wraps around, and it clips in the back. So if I stand up, I look like a ballerina. But what it does is it causes your posture to straighten. See my back? It's already like straight. I can crochet and my hands are in front of my face. So I am not having this like neck thing where I'm putting my hand down while I'm crocheting. I can prop my hands up, my elbows on the cover, and my neck is fine. I personally experienced crochet elbow. Did you know that was a thing? It's a thing. Look it up. Crocheter's elbow. If I crochet too long, my elbow really hurts. It hurts to the point where I could have to stop crocheting. Ever since I've used this Volare pillow, my elbows, they rest on this pillow, and I have not experienced crocheter's elbow since I've used the pillow. Now, I'm not saying I'm cured. All I'm saying is this is a preventative and helps you, and it's super comfortable and it looks really nice. And if you're interested, then check it out. And if not, that's cool too. I can, if you're on Instagram, my link to Volare is actually located in my bio. I have a code that you can use to get 15% off because obviously I'm an ambassador. So obviously I have a code, and it is all capital Crochet with Tiffany 15. I think that's it. Let me double check. I want to make sure I said that right. Also, I'm currently in the process of designing a crafter pillow cover. So that way it is easier for us crafters working with yarn and having all these little tools and stuff to have everything within hand's reach. So the code is all caps crochet, then underscore with underscore Tiffany, Tiffany, and then 15. And that's the code to get a discount. And the discounts can be rolled on top of any sales they got going on. So if they have a sale, you can also use my coupon code and get it even cheaper. I got you guys. I got you. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna scoot over this way a little bit more. I'm like half on the screen for everyone on Instagram. And that's what I got when it comes to relieving pain from crocheting. The stretches, the breaks, the pillow, the gloves, those are the big things I could find and come up with. Anything else, you might want to just talk with your doctor and see if there is something else you can do to help that out. Next question is also from Mama G Crochet. What to charge for baby blankets? Okay. This is also a hard question because I have opinions. I have observations, and I will be more than happy. I will absolutely share those with you. I will not try to deter you in any way, but just educate you. And hopefully you take what I say and it helps you. You can ignore everything I'm about to say, and that's totally fine. It's up to you, your choice. But from what I've seen personally from 5 years of working at events and seeing other crafter crochet booths that sell blankets, they don't sell. Let's just be blunt. They don't sell because, and if they do, you are not getting your time for the project at all. You might be able to get reimbursed for your materials plus a percentage, which is the minimum I would definitely ask you to ask for. 100% all the materials, but then a percentage on top of that. Ideally, when it comes to pricing out your materials, the math equation is the cost of your materials plus the cost of your time. Add those two together, and then take that answer and multiply by 10% and add that. That 10% accounts for all the stuff you don't think of, such as materials having to be replaced, like your yarn needle, which you don't have to go out and buy new all the time, but when you need to, it's there. Or how about traveling? Maybe you needed to drive to the post office to ship off something, or you needed to drive to travel to meet them, so that way you could give them their item. There's all these little, or all, how about the time it took you to sew on, or to sew like a label onto it, or put it together, the time it took to package it up. I don't know if you incorporated that into your cost of the actual item, but that whole like shipping and handling section. So I always do plus 10%. That is wholesale. That is your baseline number. Then when you have that baseline number, what boutiques do and what retail brick and mortar stores do is they take that wholesale number and they double or triple it. And that's how much retail price is. Handmade items, we can't always do that. We really can't, because people will look at it and be like, are you taking anything? They will laugh at you and they will say, there's no way I'm paying that. Even though we know that it's worth it, right? We know that it's worth it. Blankets, if somebody asks you to make them a blanket, then you have full right to ask them to pay for all the materials and your time, because they asked you to do something. If you made something and it was up to you on the colors, up to you on the pattern, up to you on the materials, then somebody may disagree with you on that price. You might be charging what you think is right, but they don't. A lot of people will see that blanket at the store and say, but the store is selling it for $50. Why are you asking for $150? And you'd be like, well, then go buy it from the store, right? So that's something we also have against us, is what people try to compare apples to apples. It's not fair. So when it comes to baby blankets, if you're wanting to sell a baby blanket, that's something you really want to do, then understand that you are trying to sell a baby blanket as a business owner, not as, I got this yarn for super cheap and I'm just going to whip up a blanket and then I'm going to sell it. That will never sell. That item will never sell. If you are going to be a business owner, then you need to take into consideration the materials that you're using. If you're making baby blankets and you want them to sell, pick a yarn that is either eco-friendly, organic, or of higher quality. You're using something that's low quality just because it's cheap and easy to get your hands on, you're not going to get what you want out of that blanket. You're lucky to get the materials, the cost of the materials back. So be aware. Plus, if you can market that blanket as being organic, or that blanket as being hypoallergenic or something like that, then that's a selling feature that gives that blanket, makes that blanket look more appealing and gives it more to stand on, gives you more of a reason to have it be a higher priced item. Also, the pattern used. try to use a pattern that's really eye-catching and pretty, different, fun, whimsical. It can either be a pattern where you're having it just a plain yarn, like the yarn is just one plain color, and you're relying solely on the pattern, then have the pattern be something that looks special, fancier. Have that pattern be something that is like heirloom quality on top of the type of material you're using. So let it be, pay attention to the actual pattern itself. Look at other references and what you find attractive and what seems to sell well in the store. Maybe you can go on Amazon, look at baby blankets and look at reviews, see how many sold, you know what I mean? And you'll see what seems to be popular. Last but not least, colors used in the blanket. Again, you using whatever you have on hand is not always going to fly, especially if you're trying to be a business owner, making baby blankets. There's literally people that are paid by big box stores to find out what colors are trending that year, so that way they know what to make their baby stuff out of. And so use them. These people are being paid. These people are already being used. Just use those people. Go into Walmart, go into Target, go into the mall, go to like JCPenney, Sears, whatever big box store that sells baby stuff. Go there and see what's trending, what's popular. See what colors they have decided look really good together. What's even the theme? Sometimes the theme is like jungle theme is popular this year, or maybe just certain colors. They've done their work. They had a job to do and they did it. So use it. Use those colors. And so I would definitely recommend that you do your homework and you try to have a plan. Just have a plan. Because you can do a very basic granny square, just the basic granny square. It's been done so many times. People love it, but be aware of the materials you used and be aware of the colors. That can make or break a project 100%. So again, I'm coming down really hard on selling baby blankets just because you're buying the material. You're spending all the time making the item, right? You're taking that time away from your family and other projects. You're also paying the money to be at the location to sell it. If you are trying to sell it online, you're still having to pay some kind of fee to post it, and then possibly have to pay money to advertise it and market it. So you're going through, and the time to do that, to post it, doesn't take just a little, it takes time to do that. So you're doing all of this work for something, and I don't want you to waste your time. I don't want you to also be disheartened by thinking that somebody told me I could make money by crocheting baby blankets and it's not working. Why not? Because you really need to take things into consideration. So if you can at least focus on those three things, the materials used, the pattern used, and the colors used. You can focus on those three, at least hit one of those three in your blanket, then you have a chance of selling it. You do have a chance. So I wish you all the best of luck. So I really hope that helps. But yeah. Blankets are very hard, and people rarely get what they want out of them. Very rarely. Last thing I'm going to address here is also from W Grit and Grace. Last thing, do you have a favorite yarn that you like working with over another? And this question is very difficult to answer because I think it's all dependent on the project that I'm making. If I'm making an amigurumi, I have a particular favorite yarn that I love to use, and that yarn I think honestly, it's probably going to range. There's so many more yarns now. I really like to use, I used to love Karen Simply Soft to make my amigurumis, but nowadays there's so much yarn, so many yarn choices and sizes and colors and fibers. There's so many options now. Oh, good golly. So I probably also would love Vanna's Choice for amigurumis. I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby, stuff like that. And there's lots of other fibers to play with, but I stuck with a 100% acrylic for what I did. Blankets. I love working with a bulky 5 because the blanket works up fast. But I also love working with a size 4 3-weight yarn if I want detail. I love to work with really pretty stitches. I love sampler style looking blankets where there's like different patterns going on, lots to look at. I love playing with that. So sometimes I'll love to use, oh, there's so many different yarns now, guys. Right now I am working with Cascade yarn, and this is their 2020 Superwash Merino wool, and it is so awesome to work with. I'm enjoying it immensely, having the best time making blankets with this yarn. But then I have a lot of fun with yarn that's different colors. So Mary, I don't know if you're here. I'm going to show off the Noro yarn. So I love yarn that is like crazy colorful. This is Noro. Noro. So that yarn is a lot of fun, just something different, also a texture. But then I also I'm having fun. Put this in. Like this big guy I want to use. So I can't really say what yarn that I favor the most. Oh, and then of course there's my yarn. There's my yarn, my own line. I'll grab these 3 colors. The Crochet with Tiffany yarn. You can find this on my website here for you guys, which is 80% bamboo, 20% Serona. So it's 100% plant-based. So it works amazing in the water and easy to just throw in the washer and dryer. And it drapes so nicely. It also has stretch because I made a beanie with it. It's important to me for it to have stretch. So I just did this tutorial, but check this out. So yeah, has stretch, it's awesome. But because it's bamboo, it is also a temperature regulator. So I'm making a shirt right now. It's going to be an upcoming tutorial that I'm super excited about. Just a regular t-shirt, beginner friendly. Can't wait for that to release. And it's with my yarn. Temperature regulator, meaning that if you wear it outside when it's cold, that it will warm you up. And if you wear it outside when it's hot for the summer, it will cool you down. So really neat, really neat. Love that feature. Super excited about that. But yeah, it's so hard to pick a favorite, depending on the project, depending on what I'm trying to do. It's just so many different yarn types now, so many different options. Okay. Oh, that's so funny. So this is my first TikTok live, and it's got a message here that says that don't forget to take a break. It's like, you've been doing this for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. Like, thank you so much for thinking of me and caring and letting me know. All right, now with that, I'm going to go ahead and read through the comments. That way I can look for your questions and answer those right now. If you want to check out now, I totally understand. I am going to be doing these live Q&As with you on Instagram and on TikTok every other Thursday. So every 2 weeks at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, because I live here in Texas, and so I'm Central Time Zone. So if you want to formulate your time zone around that. So the next time we will meet up is going to be March 7th, 2 p.m. And look out for my Instagram stories where I reach out for questions so I can get your questions and prep answers. Okay, cool. Right, let me start with my Instagram. And I have to really scroll for this one. It's been 90 minutes, I've been told. Let's see. So, Sarah, you mentioned no temperature blanket this year. So last year I did a temperature blanket slash sampler blanket. So every month we switched up to a new stitch that we would play with. Because I ended the 2023 sampler blanket with the border in January, I didn't give myself enough time to plan out all the stitches and make a plan for that particular pattern for a brand new temperature blanket. But I am in the works right now putting together a sampler blanket crochet along. So it's going to be even better than the temperature blanket sampler blanket, because we are going to be able to play with brand new stitches that we haven't played with yet. And I can share with you how to take that stitch and incorporate it into its very own project. So if you want to make a blanket with just that stitch, I'm going to focus on that information. So pure sampler where you get to play with all these stitches, and now you'll have the extra added information to then take that stitch and run with it with something else entirely if you want to. So like I said, I'm in the works with that. It's still in the development phases because I'm having to develop that whole crochet along project while also maintaining my weekly videos on YouTube. And I also have something, I also have another, what do you call, my course thing that I'm developing that I am working with Ribbler on. So yeah, so I got like a lot going on behind the scenes, guys, a lot. And so I try to juggle it all, and it's just takes time. It's just time. All right, Lillian, you said I've been trying to get in contact with you. The best way to get in contact with me is through it's through email. 100%. Email me if you need something. info@crochetwithtiffany.com. That is the best way to get a hold of me. Knots of Love Crochet. Spray with a non-rinse detergent, wrap in a towel, and air dry flat. I love it. Just another way to keep your crochet on keep it looking the way you want it to look. Kathy said, beautiful and talented lady gone too soon. And that was in reference of Melanie Ham, and I 100% agree. I cried when I heard that she departed, and made a whole tribute video for her, just letting her know that, or putting it out there, that she was my big inspiration. Welcome from Australia. I love it. I love how we can all get connected all over the world. I think that's one of my favorite things about being here, is being able to connect with people. Quilter Jess says, Melanie Ham shared the tip that enabled me to begin projects with a chain. Let the hook do the work. I love that. Snoodle Doodle, welcome. She said hello. Jen Fay, any tips for crocheting faster? I've been crocheting for years, then quit. I would also love to learn how to crochet without looking. Honestly, that all comes with just experience and repetition. You're trying to develop that muscle memory. Once you develop that muscle memory, where you're not having to pay any attention to necessarily how you're getting the stitch there. It's just where you're putting the stitch, and you can just go. Then you can go faster and faster and faster, and your hands just kind of naturally go, kind of like when you're driving on autopilot, when you go from one place to another, and you've done it a million times, but you can't remember what happened in between. You just know when you left and when you got to the destination. Same thing with crocheting. You start to develop that muscle memory, and then you just go, and you can get faster and faster and faster with it, to the point where it's just kind of like a machine. You just go. Now, when it comes to, you don't want to look at it anymore, you can do this. Basic stitches, the single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, any stitch where it's just a 1-to-1 ratio, just one stitch and one stitch space, one stitch space, 1-to-1. You can, with your yarn tension hand, you can feel the spots. You can feel the stitches, and because it's almost like crocheting by braille in a way, and I don't want to be offensive to anyone, but it feels very similar to that, where you're kind of with your hand, you're not looking, and you're feeling for the next hole over. And then when you identify where the next hole over is, you place your crochet hook into that stitch and you work whatever stitch you're working. And then you'll go, oh, you'll feel over to the next space, find it, and then work into it. If you can get to the point of having so much experience and being so comfortable with crocheting that you can now feel what's going on and know what to do, then you can actually crochet without looking at it. But that doesn't apply to all types of crochet. That's really just with basic stuff, because otherwise you're really having to pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, got a question mark. How would you use different weights in the one project reusing up scraps? Great question. So when it comes to a scrap project, and you're utilizing different sizes, so your scraps vary from range 3 lightweight yarn to maybe 6 super bulky yarn. It's all kind of, and everything in between. It's all just kind of jumbled together, and you're just kind of like using everything up. If you are just making a scrap project, then it can actually have a really cool effect when you have all these varying sizes that I wish I could show you a picture, but it's like some of those tapestries that look wonky in a way, where it's kind of like forms this like wave like thing, where all of a sudden it's this going on over here and then this going on over here, where you got like something really big over here and then something really thin over here. And no, it won't be even, and no, it won't look the same. But if you're okay to ride that ride and use up yarn that is all varying sizes, you can get you can get a really cool effect from it, but understand or be aware of that walking into it, that's going to happen. Because honestly, when it comes to me recommending like how to keep all the stitches looking the same or similar, I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just saying that will require a lot of control of your tension, and it will require a lot of attention from you in what you're doing, just to make sure that everything is staying level with all those varying thicknesses of the material. So if it's something that you're worried about being a problem, because like maybe you're making a blanket, if you're wanting your blanket to look wonky and look like a scrap blanket, then this is perfect. Just do it. If you want your blanket to look more consistent, I'd probably try to use yarn that looks as close as possible the same width, the same size as each other. Just kind of like pull it out, weave it out, weave through it, and look for that. So that's my recommendation. but you can use everything together and it looks really, really cool. Sammy, you asked, would you make a Sun Bunny by Miss C Cottage? So I unfortunately do not do amigurumi stuffed animals on my channel anymore because they receive such poor views in the algorithm that I can't afford to do that. If I get really poor ratings on a video, then that poor ratings tells the algorithm that people don't want to watch my videos. Not that they don't want to watch amigurumi videos, but they don't want to watch my videos. So then they don't recommend my next like few videos. So it hurts my algorithm. And so I just don't. But if you want to make those kind of things, then definitely check out my crochet club, because that is where I can do things like amigurumi and really anything you want to make, because there's no algorithm over there. How many yards would you typically need for a full-sized chunky blanket? Again, that all depends on the size of the chunky. Believe it or not, all sizes have a range. And it also depends on the crochet hook you're using and the pattern you're using. Is the pattern you're using one that's very basic and you can get a lot more out of it, or is it more detailed and you're more of a yarn eater? So taking that into consideration. So I need more information. Do you get my Instagram questions? I did, and I answered them already. What is your favorite tutorial for blanket? I have too many. There's so many different ones. That's all the question marks that I see. So guys, if I lose you over on Instagram, I will replace the camera. Stick with me, but I'm gonna come over here onto TikTok. Hi guys. Let me see what questions I got over here from you. Let's see, if you have a question over here on TikTok that you'd really like me to talk about, then please type something in the chat. Start with a couple question marks. That helps me out. How can make a little animal? Oh gosh, there's a lot of different animals. So this is Soph in M's account. Welcome. Thank you so much for asking. It depends on the animal. There's so many different kinds, but what I would start with is probably something uber basic and do like an oval for the body. Then either a circle or a different shaped oval with an open side for the head. Then like an oval for the legs. Kind of like keep it very basic shapes. That's what I would start with. And then you can add facial features, ears, details, things like that. There's ways to make something super basic and have that basic shape work for most anything. So I hope that helps. But you could really go in so many different directions with that. Oh, yay. Samantha, you came over here on TikTok. I love it. What is your favorite crochet stitch? Ooh. The more I play, the harder it is for me to answer that, because there's so many fun ones. Like right now, I am having a blast with the jasmine stitch. Somebody asked me to do a tutorial on the jasmine stitch, which looks like the flower, like a bunch of the flowers all together. And so we did that together in one of my crochet lives, stitch lives on my membership. And now I just have a blast with that one. And the feather stitch, I'm having fun with too. I love post stitches, anything that's textured. I'm a huge fan of texture. And so I'm drawn to that. And I'm also somebody that can't pick just one pattern. I like to play and mess with multiple different patterns in the same project. Love the samplers. I'm a big fan of samplers. I just think they're fun, one, because you don't get bored repeating the same stitch over and over again. But two, they look cool. They just look cool. So yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to just pick one. I love to mix and match and see how they look together. It can be so much fun puzzling those together. Have I tried the moss stitch? I have. So I think last year I was doing all those stitch videos, and I did both the moss stitch and the crunch stitch. Surprisingly, they are ridiculously similar. I think the only way they differ is how they begin. Other than that, they're the exact same stitch. So I personally like the crunch stitch better, but I think there's kind of a debate. Some people really love the moss stitch and some people really love the crunch stitch. So I'm over on the crunch stitch side, but I have nothing against the moss stitch. I think it's still really pretty, makes for a really cool texture. Super, super simple stitch. And have you tried the mosaic crochet before? Not yet. I'm super excited to start though. I'm excited to play with that. That is going to be something that we're playing with in the Crochet Club this year. Not exactly sure when I'm releasing that, but I can't wait to play. There's so many different crochet techniques that I have not gotten a chance to play with yet, and that is one of them, and I can't wait to give that a try. So I know that you've been working up a couple projects yourself, Samantha, with that mosaic crochet. What's your experience been? How have you felt about mosaics? Right, Samantha, actually hold that thought. Let's talk mosaics in our next meeting. So definitely say something, mention something, and let's have a conversation. I would love, love, love to do that. All right, guys, over here on TikTok, thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have my very first TikTok live with you. I hope you had fun and value. My big thing is I want to just lift up other crocheters by helping them, teaching them, spreading knowledge, just kind of like spreading the experience and lifting everyone up. So I hope you had fun. And I hope you too will be here on Thursday, March 7th, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time to join me for my next live. Lots of love. Lots of love. Mwah, mwah. Bye, guys.